Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me introduce myself. My name is Tasya Dwianti Agustin. I will present my research entitled Exploring Translanguaging Approaches to Teaching and Learning English as Translingual Expressed in Social Application and in an Educational Context, as my final project in this semester's. Background of the study. The phenomenon that portrays this thesis background is social application and educational. In every element of people's life, social media has become a powerful technology-mediated communication tool, particularly in the workplace. Translanguaging is a term that is usually applied to bilingual or multilingual students who practice in more than one language on a daily basis. In a study of translanguaging, the students confirm a dominance of non-task talk when other languages were used. Social networking services have been investigated as useful platforms for people of various identities. The second is statement of the problem. First, what approaches are used in teaching and learning translanguaging as translingual expressed in a social application and in an educational context? The second, what is the impact of teaching and learning translanguaging as translingual expressed in a social application and in educational context? Third is goals of the study. First, to find out the approaches are used in teaching and learning translanguaging as translingual expressed in a social application and in an educational context. Second, to describe how the impact of teaching and learning translanguaging as translingual expressed in a social application and in an educational context. And the next slide is related studies. The first study which included here is Translanguaging and Identity in Educational Settings, which had been conducted by Angela Chris and Adrian Blackledge 2015 from University of Birmingham, UK. They studied about scholarship in language, identity, and education, critically reflecting developments in sociolinguistics. The second study, entitled Translanguaging in the Multilingual Classroom from Theory to Practice, research by Joshua and Emma 2019 from Western Oregon University. The third analysis is Thank You Sokran Gracias, Translingual Practice in Facebook Groups by Daria 2015 from Salisbury University and Camila Vasquez 2015 from the University of South Florida. On the next slide is review of literature. First, definition of translanguaging. Translanguaging is about communication, not about language itself. There are times when we need to be language teachers, focusing on accuracy in English so that our learners can pass exams and be taken as proficient speakers in wider society. And the second, a short history of translanguaging. Colin Baker, one of their colleagues, translated the term into English as translanguaging. Since then, the term has come to refer to the use of multiple languages in a variety of contexts. It is one of several related terms, including polylanguaging and flexible multilingualism, and the subtle differences between the mean decade and breadth of academic work investigating how multiple languages are used, particularly for learning. We can use the term translanguaging as a catch-all. The third is language. According to research on the relationship between language and ways of knowing, multilingual students are frequently pressured to use a monolingual lens to make sense of the world and of who they are. Next is translanguaging as pedagogy and practice. Translanguaging was described by Garcia as both an act of bilingual success and a bilingual pedagogy for teaching and learning. The term was coined in the 1980s and later evolved in response to evolving linguistic trends in schools and communities. Next is translanguaging in classroom. Classrooms around the world are becoming increasingly multilingual. It, it is difficult for teachers to be fluent in any of their students' languages. Next is translingual practice on the internet. Although the internet and online media have made transnational communication easier, English has remained the most commonly used language for online communication. On the next slide is theoretical framework. In this study, the data were analyzed using approaches to teaching and learning English as translingual. This study used Chen Williams' theory to find out about the translinguals can be used in a variety of platforms. As previously mentioned, translanguaging can be used for scholarship, schools, and in social application. And on the last slide, research methodology. The research was conducted with a qualitative approach or non-numerical data from some article journal and some social media as the object of research to find the translingual expressed in social application and educational context. The primary research data is the social media. The secondary research is taken from journals, articles, and books. I think that's enough presentation from me. More or less, I apologize. Thank you so much for hearing my presentation. Have a great day. Stay healthy. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.